Yo, this is KaeDee,
And this is David.
and we are the K&D Exchange.
Where we exchange music, and as a result, we exchange ideas, bridging the gap between old and new. With all original music produced by. Enjoy.
Yo, welcome back to the K&D Exchange. This is what? I'm losing track now. Episode 5? Yeah,
It
episode
is,
5.
yeah.
And this will be our third exchange of the series. Bang. I am KaeDee, alongside co-host, music aficionado and friend and ex-colleague, David. What's going on, David?
Good evening, good morning,
Yeah.
good afternoon, wherever you are, wherever people are listening to. Hello, welcome to the show.
Yeah. This is going to be a good one, I think, because
I can feel it.
the two I think we've got a good combo of music that we've exchanged to each other. Very different from each other. Very different. So me and you have probably had different listening experiences over the last week.
Yeah.
To a degree. So we usually start with David's exchange for me, right?
Yeah,
So,
man.
You gave me an album by Jill Scott called Beautifully Human, which is what, Words and Sounds Volume 2?
Correct.
Yeah, and then the title is Beautifully Human. Okay, so this came out in 2004. It's about 16 songs, an hour and 17 minutes, another lengthy one. I mean, we've discussed kind of, we've touched on that with certain albums. I mean, the first one you gave me was Big Pun, 24 songs, roughly the same kind of amount of time, right? So we'll get into it. Yeah, I'd obviously I know who Jill Scott is. I think I said Words and Sounds Volume 1 before. This was always on the list because this one always came up on the kind of albums to listen to lists. So it ended up on my list of music to listen to. But like I said, the good thing about this is that there's this like intrinsic trust between us. You're like how it would be back in the day, I guess, going to the record store and getting someone who works there to be like, who knows my tastes, being like, yo, you should check this out. Or, and I know them, I know what they're into, and being like, okay, I trust you to check that out. We're now with the kind of never ending stream of music, it's sometimes a bit hard to be it's like you can just listen to everything. So
yeah, you can get a bit lost.
you can get very lost, yeah, because like the list will keep on going. You'll look at something and think, I do want to listen to that, but I can listen to it anytime,
Mhm.
So I'm what I'm glad with this is that some of those things are actually finally from years ago coming up and actually coming into rotation to get listened to. Finally. Yeah. But it also is interesting. It makes me wonder if how I receive those albums now that I'm listening to them, if I would have received them the same those few years ago when I first put them on my list. Because this one, like I said, I know who Jill Scott is. I think she's sick at what she does. And this whole album is really well kind of put together in terms of its sonic quality, its musicality, her themes, her concepts, her ideas. It's long,
Yeah.
I did find my attention waning throughout it. Now,
Absolutely.
at certain parts, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
that's not a fault. I mean, you could say it's a fault to her. She's, she does have the final say on, I guess, I'm assuming she has the final say as the artist on what gets on the album and what stays off and how long it is and how it's sequenced. I don't want to start it off like it's negative because it didn't hit me really. Now, I don't know if it needs more time. I don't know if it needs the right environment for it to, because it feels like there's something underneath here. There are gems on here that I pulled out. It's just, do you remember when I was talking about R&B albums? When we talked about D'Angelo?
Yeah.
I was saying, you know, sometimes it's like they put in songs which they feel like they have to put in. I'm not saying that that's what happens here, but sometimes it treads. One problem I have with R&B albums sometimes is they tread the same topic, and that might be a bit hypocritical. It's always the love topic, right? And if you're going to do that, I feel like you need a bit more variation throughout in order to explore that kind of topic. A lot of the time I can't really just take, it could just be me personally, I can't really take love song after love song after love song after love song after love song. It all just bleeds into the same thing. If you're going to do that, you're going to need to switch up other elements like the musicality, the way you deliver it, the way you, I don't know, maybe you disguise the theme, you know, because some of these songs in the background might come off as love songs, and then when you actually look a bit deeper, like I read the lyrics on my second listen, and I ended up realizing some of the themes. I realized that like on one of the songs, I'll get to it, I've written it down, that the music was changing as she was talking to like her man and trying to get his attention and things like that. And it changed with her alongside her frustration. And then when she tried to get kind of a different approach and tried to be a bit more sexy to like, you know, get his attention, the music changed and became like a cool kind of jazz background. And then it went into a full blown like big band thing at the end when she just got so frustrated and fed up with it. That's sick, right? That's what I mean. She sounds like she's got this great mind for ideas and this great ear for it, I guess. And she's got quite a few albums, and I haven't. I'm saying I've listened to 2. One of them I can't really remember because that was ages ago. So, you know, I'm not judging Jill Scott as an artist off of this. This one just, I felt after a while, my attention was starting to wane. Like there were sections of it were a bit too mellow, song after song after song. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. There's like 3 in a row, which are just like
3 or 4 in a row, which were just like, I'm kind of, you know, I'm not. The reason I said it might be a bit hypocritical to talk about the whole love song theme being treaded like throughout is that, yeah, there's hip hop where there's artists that just talk about drug dealing and street life throughout the album. Maybe it's just that. Maybe I just find that a bit more interesting. Maybe it's just that. I'd rather watch a you know, I don't know. I'd rather watch Goodfellas over like a romantic kind of film or a rom-com or something, depending on my mood, you know, or who I'm with. It might just be that, you know. I can maybe watch loads of those kind of films and then I have to really be in the mood for a different type of film. Yeah. I think it's the same kind of thing with music. And I don't think this is something I would revisit. It's a bit too slow, it's a bit too mellow. And I think it might just not be for me, I guess.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, which is, it really feels wrong to say it because Jill Scott is like one of those people who like, you hear a song from her and you're just like, yeah, I see why people talk about her.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I get it. So I selected this for you because I revisited it like recently, and so when I first heard it, like I bought it on CD the month it came out, and so I really remember it.
Were you a fan beforehand, or was this like your first album?
Man, yeah. So the first time I heard of her was "Getting in the Way" off the first album, and that to me is one of the best tunes, like in my sort of listening list, really. Like it's one of my favorite. Sure. It's one of my staples. Like I think that's a perfect song. But yeah, no, I've been a big fan of her, like especially like with the first album, Who Is Jill Scott? And she done like a tune on there called Love Rain. There was like Love Rain, the original, and then there was a remix with Mos Def on it, and that was like the first time I really heard Mos Def, and then I got into him. But anyway, nice. So I was a fan of her, and when I heard this album, it caught me at a really good time. Do you know what? I may not have got it as soon as it came out. I remember it being summer when I got it, and it just hit me. Like the album, for me, is Sunshine.
Yeah, it has that vibe, definitely. Yeah,
absolutely. But I do absolutely hear what you're saying about, you know, it does kind of plod along. Yeah. And I wanted to know if I was being harsh on the album that I used to adore this album.
Right.
And like ever since like starting this podcast, I'm thinking is it just me, or is it not for me anymore? Like, I don't know.
Right.
But it's just one of those, like, I do love it. It's got songs on there which I think it's a really strong start to an album.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's quite top heavy, it feels like, right?
Absolutely. And it does peter out.
Yeah.
Like, after the song,
I'm not the only one feeling that.
I think the song's called My Petition. That's the last one that I'm like,
that's the second. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think track 3 is Golden. I mean, that's brilliant. And then track 5 is song. It is. I used to be in a covers band, and I used to play bass for that. Okay. And we used to play, like, we had this singer, her name was Leonora, and she used to kill this song. I mean it, man. She was.
I can imagine it live would just sound amazing with a full band and everything.
Like, honestly,
I can hear the crashes and the snares and stuff already. Like, in my head, I can feel the vibe. I can see the color in the room.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I get it.
It's an absolute banger, like, live. It's a good track on the album, but when you play it live, like, it's a really simple song, but it just hits. And then track 5, Spring Summer Feeling, like, I mean, that is for me a beautiful song.
That is,
and then
produced by Raphael Sadiq. Yep.
Yeah,
which is no wonder, because he's got that kind of sound, right?
Exactly. I just find that this album has, like, good intentions and good vibes and stuff throughout it.
Yeah.
But it's not one of those sort of albums that, like, it's easy listening to have it in the background, like music that you wouldn't necessarily focus on, which sounds really harsh. Yeah, it sounds really harsh because it's Jill Scott, man. She's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I think she would have lent it. It could be. I mean, during that time, there was a lot more longer out. It feels weird saying that, actually, because nowadays there's been a resurgence in longer albums, and I think that's because of streams. So people are trying to get more and more streams for their albums, and then people add deluxe editions where they basically add like a whole new album on top. It's not just a few extra bonus songs. It's like a whole album just added at the beginning of the last album, and then the streams carry over, and they do it to get into the Grammy nominations again. So when it gets close to that year, but so, you know, it might be a bit unfair to judge this based on its climate that it came out in. So what, like 2004, 2005, but I think it could have lent itself to being a bit shorter. Although it's hard to say, if you was to sit with Jill Scott, what songs would you take away? It's like, do you ever listen to that R.A. the Rugged Man album that came out last year?
Yeah.
That was what, like 20 plus songs, right? Or something like that, or maybe a bit less or more, a bit more. And it's like, I can't even remember the last few songs, but I know that if I just played from track 16 onwards, I'd be like, yeah, every song is sick. It's all sick. Yeah. What do I take away? Like, the best I could tell him if I was like his executive producer would be, just split it in half, split it at track 12 and then release the second half another time, call it part 2, whatever.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I feel that maybe on here is like, I wonder if I was in the room with her, if I was in the studio with her and I was like feeling the vibes of it, I think it might be hard. Some artists might have that curse where they bring out a lot of great material that is kind of hard to cut down.
Absolutely.
And, you know, shave off material, especially as an artist yourself. Like, you don't know how to, you wouldn't know necessarily, like, you might feel a certain attachment to every kind of song and think, wow, I want people to hear this, but there's already 12 songs on the album. Okay, maybe I add this one. Okay, maybe I'll add this one as well. Maybe I'll just put this one here. You know, but then to the listener, it's all fresh, you know, and it might be a bit too much for them.
It's, you know? Yeah, I do know what you mean. Because, like, it's not a very sort of, like, as you said, you know, it's very, very, it sounds lovely, right? It's a really nice sounding album. It's produced really, really well, but it's not, there's no sort of, like, it doesn't shift or change. It's not dynamic. It's just this sort of constant level playing field of beautiful music.
It's beautiful. It's great. It's just
it's I know what you mean.
After a while I need a bit more than great. I need a spark, you know, at a certain part, you know, like you're right. It's top heavy. It starts out strong. You know?
Really strong.
The beatbox intro is cool. It's kind of funny as well, like the way she's doing the mouth noises and stuff. And kind of gave me kind of gave me MJ vibes, like the way he would do this kind of back of the throat like things, you know, like to accompany his music and stuff,
man.
right?
Yeah. Also, just a quick side note.
Yeah.
How much of his music had him in the background, like beatboxing and stuff?
I was, not to side note too much, because you know me, I could talk about this.
Yeah.
Forever.
But,
I mean, you've seen the jumper I'm wearing.
Oh.
For those not watching on YouTube, that is, I'm wearing an MJ inspired jumper, but it's not MJ on the jumper. But yeah, it's like, you know, I mean, we could do a deep dive on him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, definitely. I think we definitely should. And there's a lot to talk about outside the music as well, innit?
Absolutely.
So that would make for quite a beefy episode. But yeah, he
I
like
was
you
gonna
said,
make a joke, but
do it.
No, it's not funny now that I've said it.
Oh, okay, all right. But tell me afterwards.
Deep dive on MJ. Did a deep dive on them kids.
Shit.
Sorry, we don't
Police
know.
need a deep dive on Neverland, but yeah.
No, mate. No, we don't know.
For the record, I'm not one of them. Sorry.
Like
any
we
MJ
don't.
fans who listen, I'm not that. I'm a massive MJ fan.
Same.
Musically, personally, whatever. But that's whatever. But yeah, you're right. He did do a lot of that as part of his musical composition. I was trying to tell my partner this one time when we were listening to Dangerous on the way home. I was listening to the whole album.
Oh, it's
I think that's where it really
heavy
started.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to tell her how he was like the embodiment of his own music.
Yeah.
Because while he may not have been able to play a lot of the instruments and stuff like that, he, if you watch this interview, he has what's her name? Diane Sawyer? I probably might have got that name wrong. But he basically is sitting there and he's playing the song. It's Tabloid Junkie from the History album. And I don't know if you remember that, but
I thought it was Oprah because he does Who Is It?
He does. Yeah, he shows her as well his beatboxing skills. But there's another one later, where and the thing is, when he does it, he's doing his beatboxing stuff, but he's doing all these layered instruments, and it's all just coming from him. And it's insane. And then he sings on top of it.
and then like he's also moving as well and like dancing alongside it. It's just
he was sitting there doing it, right?
Yeah,
and it still looks like
he just was music. He was the physical embodiment of
yes,
of
I'm glad
music.
you said it before me because I was about to say it, right?
Yeah, he was something else entirely.
Something else, man. And the music was, you know, sometimes you might not have realized that some of his backing tracks, he was in the backing track, right? Like he would beatbox and show the people in the studio, the engineers and whatever, how to play the things that were coming out of his head or coming out of his mouth or whatever, right? Like he was the embodiment of his music. You know, you can say all you want, but he couldn't play instruments. He wasn't like Prince.
Doesn't matter.
But they're completely different artists. Like MJ was creating in a completely different way to another artist is, in the same way another artist is not doing it the same as them. But you know, it really reminded me of that. And it's funny because on another song actually reminded me of the song Dangerous, which was I wrote it down. What was it? Crossed My Mind, because she's doing like the spoken verses.
Yeah.
And then she kind of just sings softly in the chorus, and that contrast makes it like you really hear how good her voice is, because she's just softly speaking through the verses. She's not really singing, she's just talking. And you know, in Dangerous he does that, you know, she looked at me then and there was something different about, you know, that kind of thing. He's just doing that whispered talking, and then when the chorus comes in, he's fully singing, he's fully belting it out, and that contrast makes it like is really just kind of exhilarating. It was kind of the same on here, but this was a bit more low key. And there's one cool part where she's just talking, and then she's like almost like she's like trying to sing, like she's singing, and then she stops herself and she goes, okay, let me try again, and then she just does it, right? And it's so human. It's like she's sitting next to you and she's like just accidentally starts singing the next word she says to you and things like that, you know. So but yeah, that's what I mean. There's these cool moments on here where you get a feel for her as an artist, for her kind of out of the box thinking and her ideas, like the song I mentioned before where it's changing along with how she's talking to her partner and she's trying to get his attention, and the music is changing as well. And then the beatbox thing at the beginning, Not Afraid, the beginning song, I'm Not Afraid, has a nice beat, right?
It does. Bass line, it's wicked.
Yeah, and it just has, it's really nice sonic quality. Lyrically, it serves as a nice entry point to the album as well, like in terms of the title, like being beautifully human, and she's saying, I'm not afraid to be this, I'm not afraid to be that, I'm not afraid to be wide, I'm not afraid to be this, and you know, things like that. She's describing herself physically, but then she's also describing how she would be to you as like a partner and things like that. She's describing her whole self. I'm not afraid to be herself, basically. And then moving into the self-empowerment of Golden, just makes sense. That song just really is self-empowerment embodied within music. Like that's just perfect for that. If you want to uplift yourself, you listen to that song, especially if the sun's out, right?
Oh, goodness me. Yeah.
You can't feel anything but happy, right?
Yeah.
Or powerful, you know, in your steps.
It's proper good vibes. It's really good vibes. It's an album conceived with like good intentions, and I find that really comes through in the music. I think that one thing about this album is there are no bad songs on this album. I just think so. For me, like I've been trying to put into words like this feeling that I've had about like albums and stuff, and so it comes from like the word syntax, right? Syntax basically means the order of words in a sentence, right? So the observer or the listener can you know, glean meaning from what you are saying. You know, I say to you, KaeDee, the sun is bright today. So the order of words that I've said allows you to make sense of what my thoughts are. Now, I think with regards to album craft, it's very much like, you know, an album is very much like a sentence. And does this album flow like a sentence? Can I get the meaning of the whole intention of the album by listening? And I find that with this album, I have to break it down into like 4 or 5 song chunks to really, like, I find listening to it as on the whole, especially today, I had to take breaks from it because it wasn't maybe gelling with me like the same way. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
I reckon if she released it as 3 short EPs,
I was just thinking that,
I mean, you're looking at 3 absolute like bangers. Just, oh, this is amazing.
So I think it would have been more digestible. I think
absolutely. I think that
each song would have got its own shine. You know.
Yeah, and as an album, I think that you forget like by the time you get to song 12, you've forgotten Golden, which is a crying shame.
Yeah, because that's
but
so
then
far.
You've got 4
so
songs.
Far ahead.
Yeah, and then you've got 3 or 4 songs left. And for me, I think the overall messages of the album get diluted if you listen to it in one go. Whereas, as I said, if you break it down, it's fantastic music.
I 100% agree. Yeah, I completely agree. Because I mean, My Petition, that's a beautiful song, and that's got a great message to it. I wouldn't have picked up on that because of where it's placed in the sequencing. Because at that point, I've just tuned out, and that's a gem that would have gone under the radar for me. I mean, it did the first listen because of that very reason. Yeah, you know, this time I for my second listen, I did a kind of proper sit down, had it just playing and didn't do anything else except read along to the lyrics and kind of try and do as minimal distraction as possible to really focus in and get the song ideas and things like that. I feel like I have to do that a bit more for this show because, you know, we have like a week. So like, you know, I try and kind of actually go to find the resource like on Genius or whatever and like look at the lyrics and kind of do a bit more of a calculated approach. But just to, so it's like I know what I'm talking about, you know, because it's so frustrating. No, it's so frustrating when I listen to other people and I'm like, nah, you've missed this. Like not just small details. I won't get annoyed at like small details, but it'll be like, oh, you didn't even know what that song was about. Did you not even like check before you came? Like, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, so like My Petition, I could have ended up just being like, when you mentioned it, I could have just been like, yeah, it's cool, but I know what it's about. because I did the focus listen, right? It's a song to America, right? And about how it treats black people in America, right? And about racial injustice.
Protest song, boy.
It's a protest song, but it's like a soft kind of.
Yeah, but this is also what I like. You've mentioned it as well at the top of your review. Was that if you were to listen to the song just like on in the background, then you would not you would mistake it for a love song, right?
Exactly.
Whereas when you listen and you're thinking, and then you actually hear the lyrics, hear what Jill Scott's saying, it's a completely
powerful, right?
different song.
It's completely different. It's powerful, and it's like, man, like with your EP idea, that would have got its shine. That may have been the standout of that particular EP, right? I mean, the songs that ended up perking up my attention after a while, I think I really started to lose focus, or I admitted to myself that I was losing focus around Can't Explain. Better at Home was good.
Yep.
That made me perk up actually again. The album was a little slow up to that point, but it's because the hook kind of got me like it came out a bit out of left field for me, because as I was following the verses, I'm thinking it's going to go one way, but then for her to just in the hook just say, you know, she basically in the verses when she's saying, you know, you look like my kind of man, you're my type, and this and that, and you know, you make a girl want to do this, and basically just talking about how attracted she is to this man. And then in the chorus for her to just be like, but I've got something better at home. I was not expecting that. I thought I had this image building up in my head. I had the story building, the environment building in my head, and then I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that to be the crux. That's what I mean. That, like, I've said it a few times now, but it speaks to her out of the box kind of thinking and her really creative kind of mind towards writing the songs and towards putting these songs together. It's not just musically, it's lyrically as well, you know? So I thought that was good. Talk to Me. Yeah, that's the one where musically it keeps moving. Family Reunion is nice. That's like a nice kind of cookout jam.
Yeah, that's it. That's barbecue weather.
That's barbecue kind of stuff. And it's cool, like hearing her talk just about what each family member's doing, and it's kind of it can be like relatable and things like that. You know, you can almost just imagine your family in place of them with their own characteristics. I started to lose focus after kind of this point. I think what was the song that also kind of really perked me up again, perked my ears up again, and because it had this beat. Oh, it was Better at Home. Sorry, yeah, the beat on that, because it was a bit more. The drums had a bit more weight to it. I think it was that one. Yeah, the drums had a bit more weight to it. Did it not? At Better at Home? No, I'm sure it was. I think it might have been.
Yeah,
I wrote down that made me perk up again.
Do you know what? I've got it like
in
here,
and
I'm like,
oh, okay. Yeah, because after all that string of
you're
songs,
all right, son.
Okay, good. After that string of like songs that was before it then for that beat to come in, it's like, oh, okay, sick. All right, we're back on. Yeah, cool. Razul only kind of perked me up because it was like the tone and the subject matter had changed. It was serious. At this point though, I'd kind of tuned out.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But I was like, whatever, man. Like, it feels bad. Like, and I feel really bad because I feel like I've got to know this personable side of Jill Scott, because she really brings it through in her music. And I feel like I don't want to say ever in person would ever say to her, like, if we were sitting listening to the music, you know, I would never say to her, like, yeah, you know, on a serious song like that, be like, yeah, whatever, man, I'm bored at this point. You know?
Oh no.
I mean, some artists I might be like that, because some artists I might be like, bruv, like, come on, like,
if it's Little Pump,
I'll be like, don't.
You'll say that and then slap him.
Yeah, because I'll be like, this is your shining light, right? Why would you put it at the end on an 18-song album or whatever, right? I would say that to him.
Yeah.
To her, it's like, I feel the intentions, I feel her soul, I feel her spirit. I feel bad saying like, oh, I'm just done at this point, but it's just how it is with the music. It's not really for me. You know how I was saying with D'Angelo, with Brown Sugar, I was saying, if you're into R&B, this is like an essential listen for you.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I had my kind of qualms with kind of R&B albums and things like that.
Yeah. You
know, what you were talking about with the sentence structure of a lot of R&B albums. The syntax, right? It has a lot of syntax issues for me, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. There are
This one
absolute
has that.
brilliance. There are moments of brilliance on this album, but it doesn't flow well enough.
No, it doesn't, because you can put great back. I mean, this happens on albums even when they're really hype.
Yeah.
It's not about that, because you can have back-to-back bangers, or what is considered a banger in isolation. If you have 5 or 6 of them continuously, it can dilute it after a while. And by the 5th or 6th one, you'll just be like, oh, I'm bored of this, you know? And you'll just be like, oh, whatever, man. Like, that's not... bringing it back to MJ again, I don't know if you remember the album Invincible.
How can I forget?
Okay, I'm just checking. But the that's what, 16 songs that could have benefited from being about 10 or 12, and a lot of, definitely, especially in the second half, because the first half is so top heavy. The first half is just
Butterflies.
back-to-back bangers. Butterflies is amazing. Around that point, it should have stopped.
Absolutely. It's Break of Dawn's on that album as well, right? Oh, what a song that is. I mean, honestly, those are the two standouts for me. I mean,
those
there are other
fit together, right? Like,
they're just
yin and
wonderful,
mate. Like that album had like back to back. Like he didn't. Again, I think it might have been a product of his era, and also I think at that point in his career, he was really just on this roll, because you can see, if you go on YouTube, you can find loads of unreleased stuff from the Invincible sessions.
Yeah.
I think he just made loads of music. Like he did songs with like the Ray Charles Orchestra. He did songs with Lenny Kravitz, something like that. He did music with, I think it was him.
It is Lenny Kravitz, yeah. I remember this at the time, because Invincible was 2002?
2001 or 2, something like that.
Something like that. So, it was a long old time ago. Yeah, I remember this, again.
Sounds great today still, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, we'll have to do a...
we'll have to do an MJ.
We have to do an MJ.
Absolutely.
Because in all fairness, like, he didn't do... Well, I think his best may have been Off the Wall.
Right, yeah.
But,
fair enough.
See, like, Bad... I loved it at the time. I don't think that's aged very well. It has bangers on it. Dangerous, however.
I was listening to it before this, actually. But yeah, Dangerous. Oh, Dangerous. Fucking amazing.
That is like, that had... We had a CD back in the day. Dangerous. 1991, I believe it came out.
Yep.
We rinsed that album in our house for a decade straight. Like...
I'd love to do this deep dive, because I'd love to know what it was like for you, like in the time. Because obviously I'm listening to this all through my dad, and growing up, I was born in 1994, so he'd already dropped Dangerous. He was already white skinned at this point.
Yeah,
I didn't know any better.
You missed his prime, but his prime was 1988. Yeah. That was his prime.
Right. I'd love to do the deep dive and kind of get more context, like from you as a fan or whatever, or a musical observer. Just
I had
kind of
no
how it
choice.
Was.
Bro, sorry to cut across you. I had no choice.
No,
my parents were just... My first Michael Jackson... I remember the first time it's the first sort of memory of Michael Jackson. It was the Bad cover. We had it on like vinyl.
Oh, okay.
And we would listen to that album on a Saturday morning. Like, it used to be a very, very... MJ brought the family together, so like he has a very, very special place in our hearts.
Definitely, yeah. He's like a big link between me and my brothers and my dad, and even just my wider family as well. Like, there's no kind of, you'll play songs like "Who Is It," and they know the songs, and you're just like, whoa, okay,
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, he had
just don't expect it.
Ability. Well, he spoke. I think he was the biggest star of. Well, no one will ever touch. Like, reach your stratosphere, will they?
I think he's in the top 5 most famous people. I think. Like,
he's got to be.
Jesus is just ahead of him. That's it. I think I looked it up one time, or my brother looked it up and showed me.
He spoke. His music really did impact on people, and I don't know what it was. Like,
I think what it was is that, or at least I've heard people say this, because I've been trying to quantify what it is. Right?
Yeah.
Is that he had this musicality to him, and he had this ability to him to be able to be extremely musical, but blend it with being extremely accessible at the same time, and find this perfect balance. And he wasn't swayed too much in one direction or the other. So it wasn't like he had made overly political music. And when he did, like They Don't Care About Us or whatever else,
man,
anyone could listen to it still. Yeah, right. Anyone could listen to that, but yet you can go out and protest and play that song now, right? In the wake of the whole Black Lives Matter thing, right?
Yeah.
You could do that, right? It's built like that. And yet at the same time, you probably had, you know, white people back in the day, white Republican Americans or whoever, who would have jammed out to that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He would have reached them, you know? Because it's the way he would have written the songs, it's the way he would have performed them. And also someone like MJ, I hate for this to have gone off into this, but we're here now.
Deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. I think a big part of his artistry is that it's not just music for him. It's not just you put on his songs and you listen to his voice. A big part of it is also visually and watching him. I mean, there's a reason that he's the one who ushers in the whole grand music video thing with Thriller. Of course, he's then that artist who you have to watch him to appreciate him as well. You can't just listen to him, right?
Yeah, spectacle.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I watch his videos a lot. I mean, when we were where we used to work,
nearly slipped up there. I saw you.
Yeah, no, yeah, but where we used to work, right? So back in hell, basically, I would listen. Yeah, exactly. I would a lot of the time. MJ still gets me through a lot of stuff now, I think, which is it's just weird for me because it's not just a childhood thing that I kind of a phase that I got out of because my dad used to play it a lot. It's even to this day, I will, if I'm feeling a bit weird, if I'm feeling like I need some escapism, I would play a video of his and just watch it. I might skip through it to his parts, like where he's dancing, or my favorite parts, but sometimes just let the whole thing play. It wasn't even just put on his album, put on his songs. It was, you watched him perform as well. He kind of forced you to do that. Even the way he looked was a kind of a spectacle as he grew up. I mean, how many human beings in history have changed that much in their life, even physically, looks wise, and have adapted to that kind of, you know, to that kind of thing. You know, it's like, he was just the embodiment of something beyond human, right? I think that's how people see him.
Yeah, he was something. Yeah, he was other. His music, well, for one, his music was completely, it was massive and bombastic and completely unique.
Yeah,
you'd never heard anything like it. And you know what I mean? You listen to guys like Prince. Prince for me is somebody that I came into, like, I started to appreciate him a lot more after his 2131 album, like in the early 2000s. And I remember like listening to it and I was like, this is some cool stuff. I know that album doesn't get a lot of love, but
I've never actually heard of it because he's got so many albums, right?
Yeah.
So
oh man, it's I haven't listened to it in years, but I do remember like really, really enjoying it, and that got me back into listening to, you know, the iconic songs, you know, Purple Rain, Raspberry Beret, etc., etc. You know, Diamonds and Pearls and things like that. You know, and the thing that always, you know, sort of grabs everybody, the reason why people, you know, gravitate towards these kind of artists is because they are bigger than life. They are somehow bigger than music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
You can't imagine that any of them could have died. I mean, to this day, I still think to myself when I watch an MJ video, I think, oh, this guy's dead.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, but at the same time, I get this shock, like, wow, this is not like an animated cartoon or anything. This was an actual human being who walked on the planet. He
was kind of, well, listen, if your voice ain't, like, you can get to like nearly 50 and your voice ain't dropped a couple of octaves, bro, some funny business is going on there.
Yeah, I mean, we could get into that.
Do you know what I mean? What I mean is, you know, when you're a dad and stuff, you know, you got to be like a bit commanding around your kids. Hey, what have I told you about that?
Actually, you go on YouTube, you can find videos of him being like that.
No way.
Yeah. I mean,
no, really?
I will send you some where he's talking in his normal voice. There's like phone conversations of his, which leaked like after he died.
No.
And so many stories are consistent about how he actually, when he was just in his house, he would drink, he would just kick back, talk, like in his voice, and people would say to him, why don't you talk like that normally? And a lot of the time he would say, you know, it's the mystique, right? And also I think he was very aware that actually made him a bit more palatable to a lot of people, right? And a lot of the time he was talking high in his high voice because he thought that it would keep his kind of vocal dexterity there, right? He was very, very hot on that. But apparently, yeah, he actually, there were times where there's like these small events you can see like videos of where he's just at that point, he's clearly not giving a fuck. He just talks in his normal voice.
When he just like, hey, motherfucker.
Yeah. There's been
Put
these
that spotlight down now.
yeah, literally like, yeah, back the fuck up. But yeah, apparently he, a lot of people who, you know, people always have the same story about, like celebrities, they have the same story about when he calls them up and they're always like, oh, I thought it was a joke and I hung up, and then, you know, he'd call back like 2 or 3 times. He must have been used to that, right?
Yeah. There's that Pharrell one that
where he's like, oh, I just thought someone was playing a joke on me, because everyone does the MJ impression, right, of his voice. But there's some where they've picked up the phone apparently, not realized it's him because he's using his normal voice, and then it's only when they saw him in real life. And I'll send you some videos where it shows him just talking in his kind of normal voice. Even on Invincible, the song 2000 Watts, he's singing in a deeper tone. But that's like
I thought that was like computers. Like I thought that
Nah, that sounds like him. Like if you watch these YouTube videos or if you hear these like calls and stuff. Yeah.
I didn't realize. Okay,
it's
so
it's not a well-known thing. There's like a lot of, you know, misinformation, not even misinformation, I get lack of information that's widely known about, which is understandable.
Mystique, man.
It's the mystique, right? And I think he was very good at that. And that might have also added to his whole bigger than kind of larger than life, larger than music thing, because it's like he only comes out when he comes to perform. He only comes out when it's to do with the music.
Or you know? When I can't remember the reporter. Was it Martin Bashir?
Fuck that guy.
No, but when they went out,
fuck him.
And they were doing, and he was just like, I want that. Well, that's $60,000. I want that.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, you've already bought
$72,000. Give me that. That's balling on another level. He's just out here spending millions just because he can.
Because he can, but there was something a bit sad to it when you watch it in hindsight, because you think, are you trying to like fill a void? Like it felt like he's just filling his house with stuff. It's almost like he has like nothing else there, you know, like
well, it's because it's childhood. We all know that. Like he didn't have a childhood. Who knows what kind of trauma and unresolved issues that could have caused.
This is the thing, because when you talk about unresolved issues, see, people always try and talk about him and his like psyche and stuff, but you have to understand that if MJ had just become a child star and then kind of his popularity kind of faded away as he got into his 20s, he would have had to go to therapy and work through this stuff in order to assimilate back into like society again.
He'd have shaved his head bald, gone into like he'd have done like some weird stuff and then sort of got himself back together. Yeah,
right. But and you know, he would have just had to do that. But I think we forget he made Thriller when he was younger than me, and that became the biggest selling album of all time. He gets all that money. He can now branch out from his family and live in this massive house.
Yep.
What is he going to do with that money? Now he's going to think he doesn't have to go to therapy and sort through these unresolved childhood issues.
Not when I got money. Not when I got money.
Yeah, not when I got my money, bitch. Like, imagine that with his actual voice. But
hey there, lady, want to go to bed with Michael Jackson? Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't believe him. I don't think they believe him. But yeah, I mean, why would you not fill it up with fucking amusement park rides and all this sort of shit that you felt you missed out on as a child? You have the money to. If he became a normal person, like his fame just faded and he never made Off the Wall and Thriller, and he just, you know, because a lot of child stars, they don't always grow up to be Michael Jackson level, you know, superstars. He's one of the exceptions, right? He starts from that young, goes all the way up to he's 50. I think he's the only one, right? Yeah, I don't know.
The only one that's remained relevant. I mean, like the only one. I don't know. Could you say, I don't know, Britney or Justin Timberlake? They used to be in like Disney, didn't they? And then they, you know, then they made albums young and stuff. And
but is Britney Spears still relevant today?
Is she relevant? No. Is Justin doing anything that we care about? No.
Not really. Like every now and then, maybe he comes up.
Well, wasn't his last album the 2020 Experience? And I was like, Justin, it's just not working for me, bro.
I thought there was one after that, but
there may have been one.
That speaks to it, right? That speaks to it. If MJ was around now and he dropped an album, I think it would have just been everywhere, regardless of how long he took.
Yeah,
that's the thing. He's dead, and he still comes up in the conversation. He's still being mimicked. He's still being. They made that fucking documentary about him at the top of 2019, and he is still being used as a kind of, a benchmark
vehicle.
To reach.
Yeah.
Right. So his relevance even extends beyond his death. You're right. I don't think there's anyone who's been like that.
No one comes close. He's the only one.
How do you compare him to someone else? Right. Someone else, because some people will say, well, some other people were devoid of their childhood because they worked during that time and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, yeah, but their fame kind of faded out. They had to get back into normal society. They had to kind of
get a job
and do other things. They had to work through those issues.
Yeah.
I'm like, MJ was continuously in that bubble up until he was 50, right? With all that money at his disposal at a young age of his early 20s. That's younger than me. If I had a lot of money now, I might just go like with my brothers and be like, guys, do you remember this thing we used to want back when we were kids, right? But we were too scared to ask our parents for it. We can just get it now.
Well, unfortunately, it's right? I don't know what to really equate it to. It's kind of like it's like I've never done cocaine, for example, right? But I know people that have.
Yeah.
And they say that the first time you ever do it, it is the best thing ever, right?
Right.
And then every time you do it after, you're kind of chasing that first initial high, nothing is as good as that. And I think that Michael Jackson got it into his head that if he gets more stuff, he'll get closer to that missed thing, that thing that he wanted so badly to have. If I fill it with a lot of stuff, then I will be able to get that, feeling of being young again. I think
that's the perfect way of putting it.
I think it's very tragic.
I think he was always chasing that high, and it is tragic because he wouldn't have been who he was, because he would say in interviews, I wouldn't change anything because as much as I complain, I wouldn't change anything because I wouldn't be here being able to do this and I wouldn't be able to give back. At the same time, it's like, I'm well aware.
At what cost?
Yeah. So it is tragic. When you watch him perform, you are looking at the result of a lot of torment and abuse and kind of workhorse type mentality being pushed on him, and you're watching a big sacrifice, the manifestation of that, right, on a human being's life. I mean, we all can sit here and talk about, oh man, he was otherworldly and he was this and he was that. To us, but this was an actual human being who went through that. For us, for our entertainment, it's like when you look deeper than that, you have to be like, man, it is tragic.
Poor dude. The whole thing's a tragedy.
The whole thing is definitely.
And also, I just want to sort of point this out, but this conversation about MJ is not totally wasted. Because when we get to my album, I'm going to bring it back.
I know, you are. I know you are.
So
this all seems to tie in nicely.
Listen, it's going to tie in nicely. Don't worry about it. But
I apologize to Jill Scott and any of her fans who are listening.
Dude,
for our diversion.
Yeah. We should get back on target though, real quick.
Get back on target, yeah.
So you've got top 5 songs and you've got your rating,
So top 5, I think I pulled out. I feel really bad saying this, but I found it a bit difficult to get a top 5 because I had to go and kind of skim through the songs again and be like, okay, wait, which ones was I, out of these songs, was I really standing out to me and things like that.
So this is the part, listeners, where I am going to ask you guys, who wants to be on this podcast now? Because we're firing KaeDee. Now, to be honest, I do totally understand. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not because of it's not like struggling to get top 5 because all the songs are shit. I just meant at the end of when I thought, oh shit, I need a top 5. It was like, okay, shit, wait, I know Golden, definitely, that's on there. Fact is, Spring Summer Feeling, but then it was like, okay, wait, what else was kind of calling out to me?
I
think Better at Home It was between Better at Home and Talk to Me, but I think Better at Home won out on that because the musicality, the production.
Yep.
And then I would say My Petition because of the message and the thing, like, you know, or everything to do with that.
Wait, earlier on I said that it was like song like 12 or something like that. It's actually like right at the end of the album, isn't it?
It's like second from last or something. So
there you go,
15.
penultimate song.
Yeah.
I've noticed my error. I'm taking it back. It's cool.
We're doing that now,
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of rating, I felt that a 6.5 was too harsh. So I'm going to give it a 7.
Ooh.
Because while it wasn't grabbing me like that, I don't think it's as a result of it being a badly put together, badly produced, or anything like that album. It's one of these weird things. It's just, I can see gems. I can see a great album with some flaws, but those flaws are more about, like, you know what we were talking about, the length, the sequencing, those kind of it's like outside factors to the music, right? So I didn't feel right giving it a 6.5. I felt giving it a 7 kind of is like, yeah, I am acknowledging the what I loved about the music, and also actually because I got a really good sense of who she was as an artist. Like,
sure.
I've mentioned it so many times in this about her out of the box thinking, her kind of her creative intuition towards how she's writing the songs, how she's putting the songs together, her, you know, the song concepts and themes. It's just, you know, I can't really give it much higher than that if it's not resonating with me personally.
Yeah, sure.
You know, but that's just how it is. So so that wraps up our Jill Scott / MJ discussion.
MJ's going to be making many appearances.
Well, yeah, I mean, how would he not? But okay, so then we get to our second album, which is, go ahead, David.
Boy, it's Loski's album.
Loski. Never thought that name would ever come out your mouth, but here we go.
It is a hell of an album. Music, Trial and Trauma, a drill story. It came out last year, didn't it? Mm-hmm. November.
Yes, actually.
This is
November.
Really, I think so.
Fuck. That was not... I thought it was maybe a bit earlier than that.
Maybe I'm right. Well, whatever's right. Came out last year. Yeah. Still recent enough. Right. So, initial thoughts on this album. I had to give it about 3 listens. The first time I listened to it, I was like pleasantly surprised. So, okay. So, when you said like drill music,
yeah,
I expected Death Grip's level of aggression. I expected, like, not so much in the musicality or whatever. I expected Slipknot rage. I expected, like, to be sonically, aurally assaulted and beaten.
Right.
And this album didn't do that. So
is that what the kind of going perception is?
Well, no,
because for someone who's outside of it.
Well, listen, right? So the reason why, I've listened to loads of drill music and I hadn't realised that it's called drill music.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realise this was what it was called. So when I hear like rock music, you know what to expect. Metal, cool, dubstep, drum and bass, like you kind of know what to expect. When I hear this new phenomenon, like, oh, there's drill music, I'm expecting something like flipping Gabba with rap or something, like something really like off key and left field. Yeah, this wasn't it. Like, this wasn't what I thought it would be at all. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is really well put together album. I mean, it's got some very good highlights. It, like a football game, it is an album of 2 halves. It's a match of 2 halves. I think that I got to song, oh goodness, hold on, I've got it written down. I think it was song 9, like Flavor. Right. And that's when, that was like half time. It was like the album was like kind of hard up to that point, and then it diverged into like other sort of avenues of music, which was really, really cool, right? So I was thinking my fears for the album when I was listening was, oh man, like the songs are good. It sounds really cool. Subject matter's kind of wearing on the first half. It's just like, yeah, okay, like cool. You're a bad man. Cool. Women. Cool. Okay, you're black. Yeah, we know. Like, do you know what I mean? But then it kind of switches, and it's almost like this album is like bottom heavy in its themes and its messages, because he doesn't talk very consciously for the first half, and then for the second half, I mean, you are let into his thoughts and his feelings. So I mean, I'm going to go through track by track, right? And I've literally got like 2 or 3 words for every song. Okay. So you've obviously got the intro, which is, I think, a really, really, really cool intro, like the news bulletin and stuff like that. I was like, all right, yeah, I'm like, this is how you do it, man. I've never heard of you before. I am in. Let me know this story.
I haven't even heard your voice at this point yet.
I haven't even heard his voice.
Yeah.
I'm in. Cool. But then with Teddy Buckshot. So I've written Fetty Wap. Like, I haven't heard that name in a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the only WAP we need to be listening to, okay? Because, anyway, that's a separate story. Like, actually, we should do like almost like a round table about female MCs. I think that would be a really, really cool idea. But anyway.
Yeah, sure. We'll note that idea down.
Yeah, man. Next one is Anglo-Saxon, and it's not like my favorite one on the album, but I did notice like something really, really nerdy actually. I think one of the guys mentions like Martinelli, so they must be an Arsenal fan because he's an Arsenal boy. It's an Arsenal player, all right? Okay. So I was like, yeah,
I'm
cool.
not a football guy, by the way, but just,
I know you're not a football guy.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah. But just the listeners as well.
Well, he plays for my team. I'm an Arsenal supporter, and like, Okay. So Martinelli is going to be like world superstar. You heard it here first, everybody. Okay. Oh my gosh, what does that even say?
Did you take handwritten notes?
Yeah.
There's some old school shit.
That is some old school stuff. Track 4. Hold on. That's really bad. I don't even know what that says. On Me? Yeah, anyway. Well, good.
On Me, yeah, that's the name of the song, yeah.
Yeah. My writing looks like Egyptian.
After all that.
It looks like hieroglyphs, mate. Like, I'm left-handed, so it's like all weird.
Oh, shit.
Basil Brush, track 5. I put that's my fave so far. I think sonically, it's really, really good. Like that's the kind of music that it really sort of lends itself to me, because I think that there's like a really nice dichotomy in the overall mood of the actual song itself and the lyrics that are being like spoken. But there's also like these sunshiny elements in there. I don't know if it's like a synth guitar. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about it where there's this nice little like light and dark dichotomy in that song. And I just put my fave so far. I mean, I really enjoyed that song. Again, subject matter and his voice doesn't really, I know he's young, he's like 21, isn't he? I think he even says it. Like, his voice doesn't really
something like that,
gel with me at the moment. Like, I don't really think at this point in the album, I'm like, subject matter's it's a bit nothing so far for me. Captain Hook, I mean, I just looked at the title and I was like, yeah, I'm in. Okay. Again, really good tune.
That was
really
one of my favorite. Yeah. Is that the gave her leg, now she's feeling good? That's the only lyric I remember. I'm so ashamed to say. I had the rest of it in my head, but that's the only one that. Oh, great. Okay.
Oh man, there's a couple. There's actually one song in particular that I really thought was the best, but we'll come.
Really wish they were. Really wish that they could. Gave her leg, now she's feeling good. That's 2 lines. That's it. Okay. No, sorry. Continue.
That's all right, man. Then you got that interlude, and I was like, nah, it's all right. And then you got.
Does he rap on the interlude?
I just put side, so maybe.
Okay.
But so I don't really remember the interlude, but I do remember Avengers, because actually that's the turning point in the album, because that has Popcorn.
Yeah.
I mean, I love a bit of that guy.
Yeah.
And Fredo. Yeah. Not the first time I heard Fredo, actually, but yeah, I was sort of surprised when I heard it. I was like, I know that voice. Yeah, really cool.
That's cool.
I just put "Now You're Talking" because
okay.
Like,
so this is where it picked up for you.
This is where it picked up for me. Yeah, really liked it. I mean, like, he's just.
Although I'm kind of not surprised, actually.
Yeah, he's just kind of bragging, braggadocio. You know what I mean? Like, my crew's so lit, like I'm sick and all this. That's cool. Especially when you got them artists on your blimmin' song. Like, it's all good. Are lit. I mean, to be honest, like, some of the features on this album, like, well done, boy. Like, well done. Like, you done all right.
Did I tell you that Popcorn, I think he likes one of our Instagram posts?
What the Really?
Because
no, he didn't.
My Sunday record was the Georgia Smith.
Yeah.
Featuring Popcorn, and I tagged him in it, and I tagged Georgia in it as well.
Yeah.
And then it said, "Oh, Popcorn Music liked your post," and I was like, "Oh, maybe it's a fan page." Bro. I looked at it, and I think it's him. So yeah.
Oh my days! That's amazing because I've been a fan for a long time.
Yeah, so you might have seen your face.
Oh my goodness! Like, in all fairness, like, it's just got really warm in here. Like, I can't believe it. Like, you ever seen a black man blush? Like, you are now. Like, oh wow, that's amazing. Oh, brilliant. No, he's excellent. He's legit. Flavor with Storms. I mean, I think, unfortunately for Loski, this is where, I don't know, it's like when you first started MCing, right?
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm cool. And then all of a sudden, like, Nas just like walks in front of you with a mic and a little boombox and just starts spitting in your face. And you're kind of like, I've just started on my my journey and you're killing me. I think that this is kind of like Stormzy's like sort of stepping on his throat a little bit just because of the way that he raps. I think.
Okay, interesting.
The reason I say that, I don't think it's malicious. I just think that there are levels to MCs, just like there are levels to anything. You know, the best footballers in the world, or the best musicians, or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
So, like, without like being like mean to Loski, like, Loski can spit. Like, he's obviously got ability. But the way Stormzy is just so laid back, like, don't worry,
right.
like, you know, almost like,
right.
I've done this before, like, I've done the whole hype thing, I don't need to do that. But then, like, when he comes back in, he's switched up his delivery, whereas Loski's has stayed the same, and I'm just like, that's the difference. It's not a malicious thing, like,
yeah, I get you.
I don't know if you must remember the tune Renegade, Jay-Z and Eminem, right? Yeah. Basically, I think that was a straight up murder because Eminem murdered Jay-Z on his own song. Even Nas said it, doesn't he? Eminem murdered you on your own shit. Anyway.
And that was an Eminem Royce song to begin with. And so Jay actually wrote his verses after hearing Eminem's. It's not like the other way around. You know, usually MCs want to go last.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, MCs usually, there's an ego thing. They want to go last on a track because they want to hear everyone else's verses, so they know what they're getting into, so they can kind of, you know, step it up. Unless you're Inspector Deck and you can kind of just wash MCs from the beginning, right? Because he's always like the opener, right? Or he was known for that. But yeah, so because there's certain parts of M's verse, I can't remember. You know, there's a part where it's the Mr. Renegade just before that, and there's like these DJ scratches. It's because I think he mentions Royce. And so they kind of just scratched it out, and then it kind of goes into the chorus. And
I thought that was him doing it himself.
Yeah, I think he's doing that, but it's to cover up, like, because that verse was already recorded, and then they gave the song to Jay-Z because it was an Eminem Royce song, and the way Royce put it was quite good. It was like the way he explained it was like it's a good battling kind of MC sparring track when it's just him and Royce, when it's just M and Royce. Yeah, but putting Jay-Z on it made it a great song. So it's like he added a different flavor to it, and you know, he added this kind of juxtaposition to it in his approach or whatever. But from a technical ability, from a technical ability, I'd agree with you personally. I really do like Jay's verses on that, but I'd agree that Eminem's kind of thing. Yeah, it's interesting that Eminem didn't change his verses though, right? He was on it first. It's not usually what happens. Usually it's you got sent the track and then you kind of
I thought you had time to think about it, but that makes the feat even more impressive. Like, because Jay-Z added some nice little, you know, like little bit of garnish there, a little bit of paprika going on, you know, a bit of salt and pepper and seasonings and stuff. But Eminem was the sauce. Like,
but imagine Eminem is someone coming up after Jay-Z and looking up to Jay-Z. So imagine that's your, like, he probably, I reckon Eminem probably will tell you like Jay-Z watched him on that, right? He just seems that way inclined. But I think
we know the truth, Em. It's cool, bro. It's cool.
It's cool. And it's fine because Jay watched many people on track, so it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, sorry, so that's what you'd kind of see that as like Stormzy and Loski. Like Stormzy's just kind of so effortless and kind of on another.
He's just on another plane. He's just like levels above. I just put my notes was levels established.
Wow.
So
right.
Listen, the next tune though, Niger Man.
Niger Man is great.
Davido in there. Oh yes. Like I just put tune.
Sick, yeah, that's a great
CHOON exclamation mark. Listen, like this is obviously radio like friendly, obviously, like it's commercial, whatever. It still works. I don't care. I won't hear it. Yeah, man. The next tune, Cutes. I mean, I hate the feature on there. I hate him. I hate him.
What is his accent?
I've just seen his face like on YouTube vids and stuff, and like he's a person that I mean, he's got a face that not even a mother could love. I cannot.
Wow, why are you violating him so hard, man?
I cannot do it.
He's a good MC.
No, I'll
listen
have
to
to
a song of his. Listen, I'll give you a song of his. Yeah, I'll give you a song of his to check out.
Do you know?
Called "Miss Me With It" for the listeners, so that you can see how wrong David is.
Okay, but yeah. Okay. Do you know what? No. It's not. This isn't about like hating on people.
No, but
at all.
That's how you feel, isn't it? You're just.
It's genuinely how I feel. Like
It's a bit of overexposure, right?
I just can't like, genuinely, I saw it and then like my blood boiled. I was like, I know that voice. Like,
wow.
But anyway, no. It's really not a bad tune at all. Like both are competent on there.
Do they go back and forth with each other on that one? Yeah, they do. Yeah.
There's really good. It's really good chemistry as well.
Yeah. I think they're both quite young as well.
Exactly. Yeah. They're sort of from the same school of thought. You can really tell that on that song. Yeah. 2 a.m. is a really good tune. Like a really good tune. I do enjoy that. And then the interlude with Akala, well, basically when you speak, he listens. I mean, when you speak, he listens. When he speaks, you listen.
He's a great listener. Yeah, no.
Yeah, he's known for that. No, he's...
No, I 100% agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
I his like videos on YouTube and everything all day.
Oh, man.
I kind of want more, you know?
He can go up against anybody and like not even...
100%.
It's not even like he's battling you. He just wants to impart wisdom and make you a better human being. That is. I
genuinely get that vibe from him. Yeah. I don't feel stupid. I don't think he's. You know, you get intelligent people who make you feel stupid when they talk to you. You know, I mean, we know someone in common like that. But like, although intelligence,
shots fired.
Yeah, I wonder about that. But we know people like that, right? And but Akala doesn't strike me as someone he's very well read and he's really intelligent, clearly, but he doesn't strike me as someone who, if you were to have a conversation with him, you would leave feeling like, man, I'm fucking stupid. Or if you did, it would be by your own account, you saying, you know what, I need to better myself.
But
he wouldn't actively go out of he wouldn't make you feel like that in a malicious way. You'd actually learn something from him, and
definitely
by extension, you might think to yourself, wow, I was slipping beforehand, or I really need to kind of think more along these lines, or wow, I did not know that, blah, blah, blah. You know, maybe I should be more aware, because he really puts things into great perspective. You know, my partner can be just like looking at stuff on her phone. She will, after a while, if I have him on the TV, just talking about stuff, and, you know, she's Nigerian, right? So she and growing up in the UK or whatever, you know, she can kind of, she can understand some of the parent struggle and things like that, and how he's talking about his black relations, Asian relations with white people in the UK and things like that. He makes you listen. He's so knowledgeable and he's so eloquent, and I found it perfect, his placement here.
Absolutely,
right? As I'm sure you're going to go into, but yeah, I love the interlude.
Yeah, I mean this interlude was I've got one of his books, Natives, downstairs.
I'm reading that right now. Yeah,
it is wicked, and he's talking.
I was reading it earlier today as well.
Okay, one of my favorite parts is when he's talking about Wu-Tang.
Okay,
it's just like how it blew his mind.
Can't wait to get into it all.
Love it. It's a really, really good book, and
I've watched so many of his interviews, so like I feel like the book is like the extra kind of context I want more out of his mind.
You just want to mine him for information. Like you just want to sit there, pickaxe, just let me find out more.
Absolutely. Have you seen the original interview that is sampled in this interview?
Yeah, but a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a long Piers Morgan interview. Yeah. He's one of the few people who doesn't get interrupted, or when Piers tries to interrupt him, he's very kind of like respectfully like, no, let me finish my point, and he actually is one of the few guests on that show that actually gets his point out, right? And I mean, you wonder whether they really understand what he's trying to say.
Of course he doesn't.
Based on their questions after.
Nah, listen, Piers Morgan, like he can go do one, like, you know what I mean? He might be an Arsenal fan, and I'm meant to. Yeah, less said about Piers Morgan, the better.
He's accidentally correct a few times. But that's
he has been recently. He's been on fire. But I mean, I think that we must be in the upside down. Like, must be stranger things out here. If I'm agreeing with that guy,
I think that's what it is. To be fair.
Yeah. But this is, for me, the next tune is Black, and I think that this song is the crowning achievement of the album for me. This is real maturity, I think, on the side of Loski. I think this is a very, very. It's nice to have a young person's like a really young person's view on the world and what it means to be black in this world.
Yeah.
My favorite line in I've got the lyrics here.
Right.
You know what? Like, my favorite line is I don't care if I'm biased, so what? Because
I knew you were going to say
captain
that.
should be Sterling.
I knew you were going to say that.
But oh man, I'm getting predictable. No, but the reason that
only because you said earlier that you're an Arsenal fan.
Well, Sterling's Man City, but anyway, right?
I assumed it's a football reference, and I assumed when you just said now my favorite lyric was, I was like, I think I know what it's going to be.
Well, the thing is, the reason I rate that comment is because Raheem Sterling himself, he has gone through the mill on not only social media but the printed media, like the news outlets, especially like we all know, like the Daily Fail. They went after him like hardcore, like when he was like quite young. So what he did was all he did was he bought his mum a house when he got like I don't know, like he did a transfer and he got loads and loads of money. So he bought his mum like a really expensive house at quite a young age. I think he was 19. And anyway, like in the newspapers, it was, young star, wastes his money, or, extravagantly lavishes his mother with a £2.1 million house or whatever. A couple of years later, there's another player, I think it's Declan Rice, who plays for West Ham, does the same thing at like 18 years old.
And it's a great gesture.
Yeah, and it is a great gesture. Oh, what a great guy. What this, that, and the other. And so,
it's only a great gesture when you're not coloured or not.
Well,
black.
that's what I sort of inferred by his lyrics. Yeah. And, and that's also something that I can quite clearly say that, it is conscious and unconscious bias. I'll be diplomatic because I don't want to get heated up in here.
No, fuck it. It's conscious, and there's definitely conscious bias.
Yeah,
as well.
But it's something, because like Sterling is a great champion. Like, I think that he's also called out the media on this as well. Just like, come on and come after me. He doesn't care, and I think that he got a tattoo like of a gun or something on his calf. And I think that because he's Jamaican, I think his dad was killed by like an M4 rifle or something like that. He's got a gun on his leg. And basically it's meant to represent, you know, I'm not going to go down that path or something like that. And, you know, this gun's on my right leg. I'm a right-footed player. I'm going to shoot and score goals. Like, I think it's that kind of meaning.
It's like
but
poetic,
then it was,
right?
yeah, but then media are going after him. It's, it's irresponsible and this, that, and the other, but they haven't taken the time to understand like the actual reason. Like, there's actually a tragic reason.
If he wasn't black, they probably would have taken the time to understand it, right? And they probably would have, you know. I hate to say it. It sounds weird coming out my mouth saying that because it's just so blatant. But I don't think this is the time now for us to be fucking sugarcoating it and pussyfooting around it. Like, maybe it would have been if it was like this, if it was like that. No, like, it's straight up, right? I'm pretty sure had he not been black, the time would have been taken to understand why he would do something like that. Because, you know, if a white guy gets a gun tattooed on his fucking leg or whatever, right? And his dad was killed by that gun or whatever, there's probably a reason for it. If he's black, what's the easy representation we can give him for that? Yeah. Black people like guns. They kill each other all the time. They're always part of gangs. Yeah. They're part of gun culture. They're always this and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Have you never heard a 50 Cent song? They're all like that. Like, and it's like, you know, why? Because he represents everyone?
This is it.
Not at all. You know, it's,
no. We can, like, I could go on all day.
I'm trying to hold back.
About like how sort of, when I heard that lyric like the first time, because he says it a good few times, I was just finding myself getting a bit like, Raheem Sterling should be captain. Like, I'm getting fired up, I'm getting heated. But no, it just really struck a chord with me, that one. And I also like the lyrics, you know, we protest and they think it's purging, so much to lose, but I'm learning. And I'm like, oh my goodness me. Like, he's acknowledging he's on a journey. Like, his mum's telling him, you know, how to...
It's not worth it.
How to be, like what you do in the streets and living that way isn't the right way. And I think this album is a sort of, when I get to this point and look back, I think that this album is a real representation of this song. What I mean by that is he's starting off the album like, this is what I think is cool and this is what I think will get me clout. This is what I think life is, right? And it's all a bit like, you know, my crew's lit and et cetera, like, you know, the streets is the life for me kind of thing. But then it really does like shift. Yeah. And
is that the same one? Is that the same song where he talks about Fedc and IC3, they want to pull me over or something?
That's like the one. Yeah.
And there's a lot of these little gems in there that he says.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? You know, the album is a representation of this song, and vice versa. This song is a representation of the album.
That's a good way of putting it. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, it's a coming of age thing. Again, it's very much like, I'm young and I'm willing to learn. Yeah. This is why he's getting like Storms is a very giving guy, but he's not your average Don, like, at all.
Right.
Yeah. You know, you get Storms to feature on your record, you must have something, right? You must be.
It's getting to that point,
good, right? Yeah. So I think this guy is on the cusp of doing some really, really good music. But then after Black comes Blinded, track number 15, and that's got. I am a huge Streets fan, like.
Right.
Mike Skinner is a dude and a really good poet.
Yeah.
I will have no arguments about that. Like, he's very, very good. And just to hear his voice, I was like, oh man, like, what?
It's great, isn't it? They actually got him on here.
I know. Like, what a great thing, like, to do on your album as a young artist. It's like very much like paying homage to.
Yep, I was just going to say, showing respect for the culture that came before you. You know, that's very London. That's very British. Very kind of, you know. I think loads of us, almost everyone knows that song, the original one, right? Or at least recognizes it when it comes on.
Blinded by the Lights, boy, that's one of the best tunes. Like, I feel like I'm there on Blinded by the Lights. Like, I feel like I'm there with him. Like,
for sure.
That's the magic of the streets. You're always next to him. You're like the fly on the shoulder, like the fly on the wall, you know?
Yeah.
But just to hear it, and also, like, it's a very, very good, mature song. This is me getting into Loski's brain a little bit and rattling around and just like, holy, like this guy's got levels. And at the start of the album, like in the first 8 songs or the first 7 or 8 songs, I'm like, I'm not feeling this. Like, I like it, but there's not a lot of substance for me. And then when I get to this point, I'm like, holy moly! And then he caps off the album. Oh my days! He caps off the album with "Life So Deep," and like life is so deep. You don't get to 21 years old without experiencing some kind of bad stuff. And if you have gotten to 21 years old and nothing bad has happened, then you are living a charmed life, and long may that continue, right?
Yeah. Like, hopefully you stay on your lucky streak, innit?
Oh my goodness, may it last until your last breath. Like honestly, like nothing but good tidings out here. But bad stuff happens to good people, and this song, I mean, Emily Sandé, she's pretty boring when it comes to like her songs and stuff like that. No, she is like, she has
I don't really know her music like
amazing voice.
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
an amazing voice.
Yeah, you
can't tell me she doesn't. She's incredible. But then you couple her vocals with a little snippet from Liberian Girl by MJ, and this is where we tie in. Like, it's all. You might think it's crazy as it's happening, but it's all up there. Anyway,
this episode is like the album, innit? It all just ties up. We have to have faith in our listeners. It will all tie up. Everything at the beginning will come through in the end.
I hope so. I mean, like, to be honest, we're going to need to plan out like these these wrap ups really well. But no. But this song is like, it's a strong ending to an album. It's a great way to bookend the album because it's completely different from how it started. Yep. And so this, to me, like, I am like, cheers for this. This is completely, this isn't like music that is wildly different to what I listen to. But for me, this album is levels, man. Like, again, it's levels. And, it's, I think, changed my perception of what drill music is. Finally,
I think that's why I thought to suggest it. Well, one, because I thought, okay, I'll throw a little curveball, like just in terms of, I wonder if you kind of gel with it, right? But at the same time, I did pick this one because I wasn't trying to troll you or anything, but it was like, because otherwise I could have picked something else, right? Where it was just kind of a full on just drill. But I don't really resonate with that stuff either. Where it's just there's no substance really to it.
Yeah, I couldn't handle an album of it.
No, a few songs here and there. It's cool. But this one, I remember when it I've heard of Loski before, but I've known about him for time. I've heard him on features and stuff because he has 2 other albums, but I think they're mixtapes. Just looking through them, and based on this one, the way the cover art is on this one looks like it's a step up. It's like, he's like holding his heart. He's got that slash down the middle, and he's just holding his heart out. And it kind of, and the name of it kind of gives it a bit more weight. And because I'd heard him over time, and then over time I started seeing more songs of his kind of blowing up and getting bigger, and he was working with certain artists. I was like, okay, I'll check this out. And when I heard the first song, the intro, I thought, I don't really like it when, I had a different reaction to you. I don't like it when people try and like add things to their album to try and make it seem like it's bigger or more expansive than what it really is.
Right.
You know, like, oh, see that, I'll just add this news clip to make it feel like there's more depth to the album. Because I'm going in I'll be honest, I went in thinking I'll probably pull a couple songs from here, right? And then I hear that at the beginning, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, whatever, man. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. All right. You probably just put, I don't know. I was just being cynical, thinking you just put this in here to make it seem like it's more deeper than it actually is. But then, like, yeah, that's what I wrote to make it seem more serious and shit. That's how I felt. But like you, it's, as it went on, it justified its concept.
Absolutely right.
And
absolutely
again,
right.
This seems like a theme with like what we were talking about with Kofi in the last episode, where it's like he has faith in the listener to get through those 15 songs, and then when he's like really showing out on a song like Busker Flow, which is like midway through the album or whatever, or
Yeah.
after the midway point. Like, yeah, you have faith in the art that you've created, that you don't need to throw that in there to be like, I need people to just come in, right? I don't need the big action explosive scene at the beginning of the movie, right? It's, you're waiting for the build up, you're waiting to create the scene and create the tension and work on the character development and things like that, you know, to really make it something long lasting, to make it something solid.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With this, I didn't realize that was happening, right? But I remember listening through this and thinking, okay, I really like the first song. Yeah. It's typical, the drill kind of banger, just bangers. I love the beats. I like the way Loski flows over them. Yeah, cool. You know, it's all good. And, you know, it kind of reminds, it's like when they say at the beginning, drill is like the genre, the music of the street, of the younger people. It's their story, right?
Yeah.
It's, and you know, you see a lot of people like to do this whole thing where they categorize music and be like, it's trash. But really, it's just they don't know anything about it. It's just new, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, it's trash. And it's like, no, because, you know, back in the day, people were saying that about gangster rap as well. People were saying that about 50 Cent and all of that sort of stuff. People were saying that about Mobb Deep and all of them. You know, it's like, but now that sort of music is deemed classic and deemed as like essential listening. Why is it now that you've grown up, suddenly the younger people's music, which has changed and evolved, they can't win? Because if it changes and evolves, it's like, what is this bullshit? It's not like how it was back in the day.
It's always the way, though.
But then if it stays the same, it'll be like, see, these guys haven't evolved. These guys haven't changed, moved past what we did, right?
Music is like civilization, man. Like it's
going to keep
very
evolving.
much like
changing.
waves on a shore. Like what was once popular, like crashes on the shore, and then something else will come along, and that wave will, you know, overtake the old one. That's basically what music is. Like I remember, like I'm sure you had it in your life when you were like, you know what I mean, like 13 or 14, and you've heard a tune that you're absolutely loving it, and you show your parents and they're like, what the hell is this? It happens. That's just what it is. You get older and like things don't make sense to you. You've fallen into your silo of music. Like this is what was great at the time that I was young. Fallen into the silo. I like stuff that sounds like this. What's good about this podcast is that, you know, like I myself, I may have fallen into a musical silo, and now I get to kind of experience stuff. And, you know, I'm seeing the world through a younger guy's eyes, and that is flipping cool. Like that is, it's a world, it starts off like quite a dark world, you know, there's my gang and street life and things like that. When you get to the end of it, there's hope, there's consciousness, there's, hang on a minute, my mum wants better for me. Hang on a minute, like my younger brothers need to be better than me. Hang on a minute. There's a life out there for me. And this album is, it's levels, man. It's
Trust
real,
me, man.
It's real levels, and like, oh my goodness,
it really hit me.
Yeah,
it really hit me because I was so shocked, because I was thinking like, I like drill music. I listen to it right when I'm in the mood, and more so than I did before when it first came out. Like it's really grown on me. And you know, it's just I keep up with that kind of stuff, I guess. So over time, you start hearing it more, and you're just like, okay, you start hearing things that you're like, okay, I like it when they do it like this. Okay, I like it like that. And you start to pick artists that you start to really vibe with. You kind of follow them or whatever. So, but in terms of albums, my problem sometimes with like UK artists, I don't know if it's just UK. Sometimes it happens with hip hop artists in the US as well. Is that some of them nowadays feel like, I don't know if it's a result of streaming or a result of the culture or the climate. It's like they don't want to stick to their sound or their theme or their genre. It's like if they feel like they have to do all these other things to prove that they are bigger than their genre, so that they are musicians. You know, I can make the singing song, I can make the radio record, I can make this, and I can sing on some songs as well. And then it doesn't really make for the best album listening experience. It makes for a good pick and choose, maybe, for like, oh, this will appease this group of people, this will appease that people. But it's like, nah, if you're just an MC, you are still a musician. It takes a lot in being an MC, right? But there's, you have to have a good grasp of just control of your voice, using your words, structuring your lines, your sentences, metaphors, wordplay, rhythm. that's a key component of just being musical, right? And there's so many places you can go. I mean, nowadays they have like offbeat rappers, and I don't mean offbeat as if they're off the beat, but like they rhyme on the offbeat, or they follow a different part of the beat, not just the kick and the snare. They'll follow like the flute accompaniment or whatever it is. You know, they'll do weird shit like that. In the same way that you'll be playing like notes or singing notes that people will say, sit back and say to you, oh, you have to listen to the notes they're not playing, you know, things like that, right? When people say that kind of thing to you, you can get that with MCs. It's like, yeah, but listen to the way it might sound weird to the average person, but it's like there's musicality to it. There's experimentation with it, you know? So sometimes I want people to just embrace that. And I went into this thinking, oh, it's just going to be a mismatch of just good songs and not so good songs, and he might package it up. I saw that there were interludes. I think he might package it up, make it seem like it's more. But actually, the interludes are really well placed because they actually. I was only after repeat listens I realized that it's like you were talking about. It's almost split into like 3 parts because there's a reason that the last 3 songs are all paying homage to something. So
yeah,
I don't know for Black if you've heard the original song, Black Boys by Bashi.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, that came out in like 2009. It's a homage to that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then obviously Blinded is Blinded by the
Light. Do you know what, man? Like, I thought it reminded me of something, and I didn't know. I just didn't think to.
It's that vocal sample in the back, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's what that was.
He's updated the songs. He's updated these songs, and he's added the new elements, the
drill
elements.
Yeah.
But what I was really surprised is how well he did. It's how well he did it. It wasn't just, I'm just going to throw a drill beat over the Liberian girl sample. It's, I'm going to work it in and make it feel like its own thing. And it's extended its life. And then I went and got Mike Skinner on the song, right?
Honestly.
You know, like he went and actually got he made it more credible. And this is the thing, I may have like misjudged. Again, there's like the unconscious bias for me in terms of music, which is like drill, it's the new thing. And it's, you know, probably some of these artists probably don't care about putting together albums like this and things like that. And yet the way he sequenced this and structured this, he clearly does, right? That's my kind of bias that's just been kind of destroyed because it's like, he's went and done that. I mean, I could have done without, I think in the middle section, because it feels like, you're right. At the beginning, it's like the hard section. He's got his boys on some of the posse cuts like Basil Brush and Captain Hook. I love that song. I'm a sucker for hard drums and I'm a sucker for vocal samples. So those vocal samples in the back work so nice with like grime and drill and UK stuff.
Yeah, man.
And those songs, they really open up the album nicely. They bring you in. I was surprised because I saw on the track list, I was like, okay, Popcorn, Fredo, Stormzy, okay, maybe he's thrown in some of these radio songs or whatever. Right. But then Avengers comes on and I'm like, okay, I like this. This is cool.
Yeah.
I liked Flavor. I like Flavor. Like I would play it if like there are people around, if that makes sense. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, I'll turn this shit off. I would play it when people are around. I think that little middle section might have dragged a little bit. I think for me, I think they could have cut like 2 a.m.?
2 a.m.
I had to go back and re-listen to that to remember what it was. Like,
it's good in isolation. I don't think it necessarily works on the album as a flow.
He's not rapping on that at all, is he? He's like singing across that. Yeah, so I was kind of waiting for him to start. I didn't realize it was him.
Neither did I.
I was waiting for him to jump in.
Yeah, I just like the music of 2 a.m. I really like the music.
Yeah, I think the beat is nice.
Yeah,
but again, at that point in the album, I think it's like, okay, we've got to because he's telling the story, right? Like it says in the title. So he's showing the hard street life. He's showing the fun side too. In the same way, you know, when we talk about Biggie and Jay-Z and them, they were drug dealers, but you can tell someone who's credible and legitimate because they show all sides of the game. They don't glorify the money and the women and stuff because they talk about the long hours, the fact that they're always watching their back from rival, you know, dealers, from the fact that they could be arrested any minute and it could fuck up their entire family. Biggie mentioned this like at the beginning of Ready to Die, right? He didn't go in saying, I'm a drug dealer and I'm fucking sick and I have all this money and blah, blah, blah. Things Unchanged was not that opener. I mean, he had the lyric, you know, I just found out my mother got cancer in her breast. Don't ask me why that motherfucking stressed. Things fucking change. You know, like, he comes in straight like that. Loski's doing that as well. He's showing the street part. He's showing the fun times they have. And you're right, as it gets towards the end, it's clear why he puts the Akala interlude there.
Yeah.
Because it's setting up for the reflective songs, which are 3 back-to-back homages to, I mean, 2 of the songs are homages to kind of blackness, right? So the song Black for Bashi's song, which was weird. It's weird to think that was kind of fresh at the time because it was like needed.
Can't believe I did not make that connection.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. Like,
that's from time ago though, so I understand.
Yeah.
Like, but
I knew it, and I was like, nah, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm
imagining
it.
Bashi had a good reign.
He's an actor though. Now he's in Top Boy, isn't he?
That's right. Yeah, he was in Top Boy. I don't think musically he's really done much, but that's cool. But
I remember me and my brother watched Lord of the Mics not too long ago.
Oh, okay.
We used to, like, when it was fresh, we used to watch that back in the day, like Demon versus Bashi. That was the
yeah. I love the Kano versus Wiley one. Like,
see, Kano, oh man, Kano. I would have liked a bit of Kano on this album. Like,
Kano would have worked very nicely on
Kano
this.
would have worked.
I reckon if he got on a homage track, he could have did like a P's and Q's homage.
Oh man, yeah.
Brought that up to date. I reckon that would have sounded incredible.
Was it Home Sweet Home? That album, man,
that
was
album, incredible.
I still have that on CD. We are going back.
Oh, I have Home Sweet Home. I have London Town.
That was it, London Town.
And 140 Grime Street.
Yeah.
I think at that point, I even have the Method to the Madness one as well, which I don't really listen to. But it's whatever. Yeah, it was weird. That was his kind of weird phase he went through. But
I respect that though. I mean, he's one of the. I think at the time when Home Sweet Home came out, I thought he was the best of the bunch.
Because he's what got me into UK MCs. I never used to really like that before when I was younger.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Dizzy was the guy. He was my gateway.
Okay. Yeah, I
love
love
in the corner. Like, I wasn't ready for that. Like, that's. I think we will have to do Boy in the Corner because I remember hearing it, and like what I said last episode was that normally when I listen to songs, it's the music that gets me first. It has to grab me first.
Yeah.
However, you listen to Dizzy's like Boy in the Corner, and it's his lyrics that it was just him that just pulled me into that album.
100%, man.
I Love You is one of.
I knew you were going to mention that.
Oh my days!
I was just thinking.
I was listening to that today, and I still remember the lyrics, like all of them.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot believe it. I haven't listened to it for years, and I'm thinking this is actually like great music. I wasn't ready for it. I think that it was ahead of its time.
I think it was. It's so weird.
Yeah, so weird, so off key,
so weird, so off key, but normal. If that makes sense, like could bang it out, which is strange, right?
But Kano. Yeah, like we had Kano, and obviously Wretch 3-2 for me got better. He's like a fine wine, just got better and better. I
had this debate with someone. Someone was like, "Yeah, I prefer his old stuff." I know. I feel like people sometimes just go to that as a default and haven't actually heard an artist's newer stuff, and they'll say, "Oh, I like a lot of their new stuff." But with Wretch, I think it's the reverse. It's the opposite. Sorry, for me. I think after that album, Growing Over Life, or something before that, like that album hit me so hard I can't even listen to it again because I heard it at a time when I really needed to hear it, as in when it came out. It just happened to come out at a time I really needed to hear it. That sound and that uplifting kind of thing. I can't listen to it now without literally being put back in the same emotion in that same time period.
Yeah,
and just it felt like he was like my best mate.
Yeah.
During that time, he was just talking to me, and then he went away. You know what I mean? Like he came in to help me out for a bit, and then he left. And I don't want to go back, and I don't need to see him again, right?
Don't need to open them doors.
I don't need to open that door again. I got through that. If I get the vinyl or whatever, it's more of a memento to that time. It's not to listen to. It's just you have music like that, some certain like time capsule stuff. Wretch from that point, because before that, I was like, yeah, Wretch, I like him. I wasn't mentioning his name. After that, it was anytime he dropped something, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm listening, you know? And you're right. The fine wine thing, perfect description for him.
Elite MC.
He grew the dreads out and his powers came to be. just like with J. Cole. Man. And it happened. Yeah.
I mean,
Reg could have worked on here potentially as well.
Definitely. Anything. Honestly, anything from the Akala interlude, like onwards, onwards. Reg 3-2, Kano, flipping. Even Bashy himself.
I would that would be cool if he got him on Black.
Would have really, really worked, because he's again like older, right? So he'd be able to give like more of a sort of rounded view. But I mean, this album is a tremendously honest and again like well crafted, man. Like that's just the word that I'm going to use in this podcast all the time. Just craftsmanship, boy.
Yeah, and that works for albums, right? Not just songs, but for whole albums as pieces, as projects. It makes
sense. This album, this is a sentence that makes sense. This album has distinct beginning, middle, and an end. Like you think
and it's not very obvious,
and it isn't. It takes 2 or 3 listens, and I got this. I mean, I was listening to it again today, and I just thought there isn't a bad song on this album. There is not one bad song. It flows together nicely. The themes are dynamic. How you start the album is not how you leave it. You grow alongside him, and you get a little window, into his life. The one thing with UK MCs though that I always find like tough to listen to, when they drop the N-bomb. Now, if a US rapper drops it, doesn't even register, but I really hear it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've listened to way more like US music.
I
US hip hop. I think that's that. But like it just always sticks out because it just sounds. Because I think the US kind of pronunciation and diction, it kind of softens.
It's a bit softer, right?
It's a little bit softer, and you can kind of hide it in amongst like lots of lyrics. Whereas like you say it in flipping like English, like with a like accent, like, and it's like unmistakable. It's like boom, like
And I do, I can. Do you think also it's like, I don't know about, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but do you think it's like more used in just day-to-day life in America in comparison to here?
I think so. The only reason, so I'm not really an advocate of the word because like of the history of it. I do understand the use of it. So it's, to be subversive. It's also to try and turn a historical negative into a term of like empowerment.
A reclamation of it.
And trying to reclaim something. And this is also something that, like people should know, like only black people can use it. Them's the rules. We didn't make them up, right?
That should be a given. Like,
so, like when people are like, given, well, if we're talking
my
about...
favorite rapper says it. And,
if we're talking about equality, then everybody should say it. No. No.
Why do you want to use it so bad?
Yeah. Why don't you say it and see what happens to you? Because I know for a fact, that's another story. I will happily divulge like all of the stories that I've alluded to. Like if we ever do like a Q&A or whatever, I'll divulge it all because like, it's about, life is about sharing and stuff.
Of course. We'll make a separate series called David's Stories or David's Exchange.
What are you exchanging? Just stories, bro.
Just stories, bro. Just all the stories I've mentioned.
But yeah, no, I've met some pretty cool people. Dave Bautista, David Hasselhoff.
Okay. Oh, damn.
Not bad.
Not bad. Save all this. This is good content.
No, I mean, like, honestly, like, it's not amazing. But anyway, I can say that. But yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
Moving on, I just think that it's a very, very harsh kind of way in which we say it here in the UK.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know why I decided to bring it up. It just.
No, for sure. Because when you mention it, it makes me realize like maybe I am a bit more numb to it, because of maybe I listen to that kind of music a bit more, as in terms of the UK stuff. Well, I don't know about you. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm the same as you. But so maybe over time. But I think at the beginning, I'm trying to think back to the beginning when I was kind of getting into this. I think I found it weird when I was younger, when I was getting into the kind of more UK stuff, when they did say that. And it's probably because I heard it so much more in interviews in American hip hop and kind of
That's it.
on TV and stuff, in movies with like black characters, and white characters as well. But like in the UK, when it was like UK media or UK entertainment, I don't think I heard it as often. I mean, I'm trying to think back to Top Boy. If that was even thrown out.
I think they drop it in like once or twice.
Yeah,
I don't even remember. But it's really, I mean, I don't know if you've seen a series on Netflix called Power, but like, but 50 Cent, he just calls everybody.
Yeah, everyone. White, black, brown, purple. Doesn't matter.
It's so endearing as well. And that's the thing, like, why is it endearing for 50 Cent? Yeah, like, I was going to say Loyal Kana. Loski drops it, and it's like, well, hang on a minute, like, you can say it too, and I'm like, well, no, hang on a minute, like,
oh, of course, it's like,
chill out. It's just because of the pronunciation. That's all it is. But,
it sounds a bit harsher, right? Yeah,
it is. It's a lot harsher. I mean. Moving on. I'm going to do my top 5. I mean,
go ahead.
I love Captain Hook. I love Avengers.
Yeah.
Niger Man. I mean, is it weird to have an interlude as your like top 5?
Is it the Akala one?
The Akala one. That's going in there.
I can listen to that. I kind of want more from it. Like, I almost wanted that to just turn into a song just so I could listen to that beginning part. Lead into something like really kind of aggressive, and I don't know, because it got me fired up as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, when the revolution comes,
so potent. But sorry.
It's the do you know what it is as well? I love the fact that Akala is a vocalist, and it's the way that he uses alliteration. If for the viewers, like, we know what we're talking about, but if the listeners haven't heard it, just listen to the interlude. Yeah, it's going in my top 5, and then also Black as well. Those are my top 5. And as a score, my goodness,
score.
I mean, I
don't know what to predict. I don't know what to predict based on what we spoke about.
Yeah, no, this is an album with depth, and it's really well thought out, and it's got craftsmanship in there. I am leaning in between. I can't believe it. It's like either I'm saying 7.5, 7.5.
Okay.
But then there's a little voice in my head which is going, why is it not an 8?
That's the problem I had with the Angelo.
Like, why is it not an 8? And I think it's to do with, will I come back to this album in time? Like, I'll leave it at 7.5 for now, but I do think, I hope that time, if I come back to this album in a year or two's time, I'm really hoping that score does go up, because I do think that it has the
staying power.
Yeah, it's got the power to kind of grow as well and become a better album over time.
Yeah, which some do.
Yeah, I'll say 7.5 for now.
Okay.
Because it's I mean, it's sterling work, man. Like, he's got something, and if he can continue like to grow, the sky's the limit for this guy. He's amazing.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah, and he's still young in it, so we might hear stuff from him in the future, which kind of blows this out of the water.
Well, this is the thing as well. If he starts to play with like live bands and stuff, so this is like my favorite music is played music. Like, this is why I love The Roots, for example. Sure. Yeah. They're a hip hop band, okay?
Yeah.
How many hip hop bands are there?
I actually don't know any more than just them, to be fair. Like, on a bigger scale.
I'd say NERD, but they use live music.
Yeah,
a lot. That's part of their sort of aesthetic. But apart from that, I mean, you're sort of looking at like rock rap groups, really, that sort of use the.
They just use that because they're the rock part.
Listen, by the time that we get into so many more exchanges and stuff,
Are you going to show me some rock rap stuff?
Yes. Like, and I'm not even ashamed. I love some of it. Okay.
Fair
so,
enough. Yeah.
So
No,
I'm
it's
not
fine.
having it.
I'm open to some.
Not having it. There is some amazing stuff. There's a lot of terrible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crap. Okay.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
what I'm worried about. But yeah,
I'm not gonna.
But I trust you. I trust you.
Listen. One of these days, you might get death grips. So
Yeah, I have been waiting on the edge of my seat every episode.
I will send you. I will even send you the first album, man. Like, you wait. But anyway, no, there's merit in that first album. But anyway, shall we go on to our swaps for next week? I'm just having a look.
Yeah. Would you like to go first?
Yeah. So this has come. This has come like out of the left field, right? Like, a mate of mine said to me, he's a friend of the show, he's a ledge. He basically said to me the other day, check out this album. And so I did. And then I listened to it, I think 4 times in a row.
Oh, wow.
But it was because like I was working and I just had it on repeat for some reason.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't get bored of it or whatever. It's called Kells is Dead by Ian Kelly. Have you heard it?
I haven't heard it, no. But have I heard of it? I recognize the Kells is Dead. I may have heard a Needle Drop review of it in the background one time, but I don't remember what he said. Is it a long album?
Not particularly. 12 songs.
Who's the guy again?
Ian Kelly.
What genre is it? If you can categorize.
So it's hibbity hop, but it's it's hip hop.
Okay, I'll listen to it and then we'll.
I need to listen to it like in depth myself because I've only had it on in the background. I've not really paid it enough attention, but I think that it's very interesting. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. So Ian Kelly, Kells is Dead. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll check that out. My swap for you. I think at the end of last episode, I was torn between 2. So you know what you're gonna get. I'm gonna give you "Nothing Was the Same" by Drake, by Drizzy Drake, by Aubrey Graham. Is that his name? Yeah, Aubrey Graham, by the Light Skinned Wonder, and no, I'm joking. By Drake. This is an album that I was talking about growing over life and how that was like a moment in time for me that I kind of had to use at that time and then move on. This one isn't that exactly. It has a lot of nostalgia for a certain time for me at uni. I can still listen to it now. I do listen to it now. I think it's Drake's best album. I don't know if I'm setting that Drake up for failure with that.
I've heard this album.
You've heard it?
I have.
I know you've heard a couple of songs from it because you mentioned them last time. You mentioned Too Much and Pound Cake.
Yeah. No, I know this album very well.
I would agree.
Yeah, because
I wanted to
it's
talk about
iconic.
Damn. So you've heard the intro song and...
I'm just going to have a look.
Okay, let me dip in the stash. Good thing I made a list the other day.
Wu-Tang Forever. Too Much, Pancake, Come Through, All Me, The Motion, Connect, Hold On, We're Going Home. Yeah, sorry, dude.
No.
Sorry, yeah. My wife, this is my wife's, this was one of her recommendations when we met.
Oh, okay. So it probably holds a certain nostalgia for you too. Okay. So I can either go for another Drake album. I could go for another Drake project, or I could move on from that. Should I give you the choice again?
Go on.
Okay, so Drake or someone else?
Someone else.
Okay. I'm going to give you Madlib, Beat Conductor, Volume 3 and 4. And that sounds like 2 albums in one, but that's just how it's titled. It's kind of listed on streaming services. I
have been looking to get into Madlib. I've only heard Mad Villainy.
Yeah, well, with Doom. Yeah.
Rest his soul, man.
Yeah. But, so this album is an instrumental album. And, one of the few that I'm really into.
Cool.
And I don't know if you've looked it up already or if you've just written it down, but when you look
downloaded
it up, okay, yeah, when you see the cover and when you listen to it, you'll know why it was of particular interest to me.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll dive into that.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Sick.
Okay, cool. Because amazing. All right. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Sweet.
So do you want to outro our quarter MJ discussion podcast?
Let me outro this bad boy. This has been Titanic. I didn't think that this one would be as long as it was. There's a lot to say, but I do think that MJ is partly to blame. But may he rest in peace anyway.
For many things.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I was just sorry, just as a final thought, like I remember when he passed away, like when he died, like I remember that moment. I know exactly where I was. And
do you want to divulge that story? You might as well.
I used to have a flat near Heathrow Airport, and I was sitting down, and it's 2009, right? I think he died.
Yeah.
And I remember I got a message, and it was check the news.
Oh,
and that was it. Check the news. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, is it another 7/7? Is it like another flipping World Trade Center? Like, what's going on? And I turned on the news, and it was just like every channel, like MJ, he's gone. And I was like, I must have mourned, like, genuinely, I felt rotten for about a month after that. It was about a month. I felt terrible, but there was something beautiful in the sense that, like, the sun was coming out, and that we had good weather, and everybody's just got their windows down, just blazing Michael Jackson. I'm talking everybody. And it was like, right, okay, you're feeling it too.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I felt a bit alone, and almost like in my kind of how I felt about it, because also like when I went to school, I didn't think that other people were. We didn't really talk about him that much. I think people knew I was a fan at some point, but not like that. And then I think it's only when he died, because it really hit me, right? And I remember the evening before, so the night before, there was something on the news about how he'd gone to hospital. Okay. And there's me just assuming that something's happened. I'm a bit younger than I'm at what, 16 at that time, I think, 15, 16. And I'm just being a bit naive, thinking, okay, it's just maybe it's a physical thing. Yeah, it'll be fine. He's broken his leg or some shit. Yeah, literally, he'll walk it off. He's broken his leg. And
he'll moonwalk it off.
He'll moonwalk it off. And then that night, I'm just kind of awake because I couldn't really sleep or whatever. And then I get this text, which is obviously one of those texts that has just been sent around to people. And it was to this day, it annoys me how the text was worded, because it didn't fully get the gravity of the situation. It just said, Michael Jackson died, people. And I was like, hold up. It's because I'd seen him on the news going to hospital. And then suddenly it was like, that's it, he's dead. Like, what?
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
And I was like, this was my cousin. And I was like, I didn't know. And I don't think that their family were like big fans. Her mum definitely was like a massive fan, but I don't think they were. And I was like, that's not just something you just throw out. You do realize who you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the guy that
respect.
Yeah, this is the guy that doesn't die. You know what I mean?
Well, this is the guy that's facilitated, like, he's powered MTV since the 80s. Like, he's single-handedly influenced the next generation of artists. His music inspires lots of people to do good. He was Titanic. He was gargantuan. Put some spec on his name.
Literally, I 100% agree with you. And I remember going to my parents' room, and this must have been like 1:30, 2 in the morning. And
I bet they were pleased.
My mom wasn't. Like, I knocked on the door, and they were like, what? Open the door, it's like pitch black in there, and I'm just like, Michael Jackson died. And my mom goes, who cares? She was like, it's 2 a.m. Go to bed, like, because I had like school the next day. And I was like, and at that point, my mom's very blunt about stuff. She's very, she didn't you know, she wasn't like a fan in the way me and my brothers and my dad was, right? So she was just like, no, it's whatever, right? Like come on, man. Like my mom's a special like breed of person, right? In terms of personality, like a lot of things to her, she could just make you feel like it's not important, right? And in that moment, I thought, wow, maybe I'm the one who's tripping here. Maybe this just isn't as big as I think it is.
No, okay, it's huge. Fine. It's like your world is falling apart. She's like, yeah, go to bed.
My dad, the next day, told me he couldn't sleep for the whole night. He's the one who introduced us to his music, right? And now my dad's obviously someone who's grown up with his music. Yeah. And he said he couldn't sleep for the whole night. And I was like, okay, my faith in my instinct is restored, right? Like,
right, yeah.
It was a big deal. It is still a big deal, right? And, you know, it's so strange because, you know, I think there was a period of time before that where we kind of not phased out of listening to his music, but we just weren't as, it used to be something on the way to school. We used to always be like, oh, can we play this song, the MJ? It was all just MJ. Yeah. Then we got into our own music that we were into and, you know, kind of exploring like hip hop. I was really heavily into hip hop at this time. And, you know, I think it's weird, like a couple months before I put on Invincible, and I remember thinking, wow, this is like really, really good. I still like this. This is not just a thing I liked as a child.
Yeah.
I still really like this. At that time as well, I knew about what people were saying about him. And even though he had been like, he was like not guilty or whatever, like they said he was not guilty. It was like in my head, I was like, I don't know anything about it. He just kind of went off the radar because of that. And he wasn't active, right? He didn't really do anything. He'd announced the new shows that he was going to do. Yeah. That was it. It was like, oh yeah, Michael Jackson. I mean, he's always just there. And then he's omnipresent. Yeah, right. And then he died, and it was so strange. I went up to my brother's room the next day, and I was like, "You would not believe what happened." And my brother was like, "What? What could it be? What could it possibly be?" Because I just couldn't even say it. I was like, "Michael Jackson died," and they were like, "Nah, you're lying." Like straight up, it's like, stop fucking about, you're lying. And they just actually got on with getting ready and like for school and stuff. I was like, nah, guys, like, it's true. Like, he's really gone. Like, I went downstairs. My dad was still there. He hadn't gone to work. He was still just watching the news. And it was so strange to walk into the living room or wherever it was at the time in the house and to see his face come up on the news, like of him, even like in the Jackson 5. And it was like, it's one of those weird things because MJ felt like the family friend. He felt like he was part of our family. Yeah. He felt like he was part of us. And then to suddenly see the rest of the world acknowledge him, even though that's what's been happening the whole time, you remember that he was in everyone's family. He's like in loads of people's top 5 or top 1, right? Yeah. But you have such a close personal connection to his music. You think that you're the only one. I almost felt a bit embarrassed, like saying, I'm a massive MJ fan. And then I would. And loads of people would be like, who isn't an MJ fan? Yeah. It was so strange. It wasn't because of him, I realized. It's because of the personal connection he creates.
That's exactly it.
He felt like he was yours. Now he's on the news. Everyone is looking at this. Everyone is having to see the Thriller video like I am. And I'm like, no, this is our thing. This is what we watch at home, like with my brothers. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it was just strange. Like, it was crazy. The headmaster mentioned it. Like, and at school.
We were at work, and like, I just sat there with headphones in. It was just album after album, MJ Jackson 5, just non-stop. And like, the place was somber. Like some people were like, oh, well, you know, like some people weren't fans. Like, hell, I married one. I mean, she's like, yeah, he was all right. I'm like,
oh no, David.
I've married the enemy. That's what's happened.
Well, to be fair, my partner is, no, she'll change her stance on this, right?
Yeah, man, you'll have to wear her down, like erosion.
Mate, I play the shit non-stop, but like, but she sings along. She'll always be like, no, I am a fan, just not as big as you. I'm more of a Whitney Houston kind of person. I'm like,
oh, Whitney.
But you know, I mean, fair enough.
Oh, to be honest, like, I know Michael Jackson, like, it was a really, really harsh one to take. Whitney was, for me, the saddest celebrity one. The saddest sort of like artistic one to pass away. Her story, my goodness.
Her story was really quite publicly sad, right?
Oh my goodness. You know, I will never forget, I I remember it was like he was on like X Factor or Pop Idol, whatever the hell it was, right? And I remember the only time that I'd seen it that season, because I was like, Whitney's going to be on, and I haven't seen Whitney sing live in forever. And she sang, and it was like this really gaunt, thin-looking lady, and at the end of her number, she was so out of breath. And I was like looking at her, and I was like, "Oh no!" Like, my first ever song was "I Want to Dance with Somebody," right? And I was about 5 or 6 the first time I heard that song, and I remember I saw the video, and I said to my mum or my dad or something like, "She's so beautiful. Why doesn't anyone want to dance with her?" And I've always had this thing, like,
such a kid thing to say, isn't it? Like,
I remember saying that, and I was just like, oh man. And I've always carried that, like, I'm always really like warm to her. And when she passed away, I just felt terrible. You had all of the singing gifts, like all of the singing gifts. You were elite singer. And drugs and the wrong people pulled down.
Man.
Oh
my! The industry is fucking toxic, like poisonous, man. I always imagine, what if they were around today and because like Janet Jackson still makes music. She tours. She made an album in 2015. Like, she did a song with like J. Cole, and that was good. And I always wonder, like, how would an MJ album sound like now? Would he have got Kendrick on there? Would he have like done something with, I don't know, like who, like The Weeknd? The Weeknd's like the MJ kind of offshoot or prodigy, right? You can hear the influences in him so heavily, right? I wonder but it's kind of sad to think MJ didn't even make it to the 2010s, It's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, but he had the 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, true.
Come on, he had 4 decades at the top.
Like, what would MJ have sounded like over some trap beats? No, I'm joking. But like,
well, you've heard Michael Trapson, so
Michael Trapson bangs, like that stuff goes hard. I'm not even gonna.
In all fairness, it ain't bad.
It's funny. No, it's not. I mean, obviously, it's a parody, but it is like well put together.
It is.
But
it ain't bad.
He embodies the MJ spirit. But yeah, my dad was outside the hotel room that Whitney died in on the day, and he asked the people outside, the reporters, and apparently they said to him, "Oh, we haven't confirmed it yet, but apparently we think Whitney Houston just passed away." And he was like, "What?" he was just there because he was there on like a business trip, and he just happens to come across these people and they're reporters, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And it's like, you expect him to maybe just be like, "Oh, I think there's a bit of a crime scene, something's happened."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh no, Whitney Houston's in there, and we think she's passed away." It's like, what? I wasn't expecting that to happen. I could have walked down another street and just got the delayed news like everyone else did. But yeah,
I was at ground zero. Oh man, like, what a somber way to end the flipping podcast. Like, oh my goodness.
Oh well, I mean, it is what it is. Life continues, and we celebrate people the fact that these people existed in the first place. These people were here. Yeah, I mean, to bring it back to MJ again, he was from a fucking family of what? How many siblings? 8. They could have stopped.
Million.
Yeah, they could have stopped after 14.9 million, and he wouldn't have been there. And what, we wouldn't have got him. We would have got Jermaine and Tito. Tito is the underrated gem, because if he didn't break that guitar string that his dad told him not to play when he's out, if he didn't break that guitar string and his dad didn't come back and see that and then ask him after he like beat him, okay, well, show me what you can do with it, they may not have started the band, or they may have started it later, or may never have.
It's amazing, like how life works, right? Just one little thing. Who knows? What kind of
Michael
world?
wasn't part of the band at to begin with.
But alas, we do not know. We were given the opportunity.
We were given
to
Whitney.
sing.
Yeah, we were given Prince. We were given Michael. We were given all these people. That's what we have to remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one good thing about this podcast. Like, we get to remember the titans of the game.
Get to remember the time. Yeah.
Do you remember?
I think that's my favorite song of his.
Really? So I think mine is Man in the Mirror.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at any song you picked. I don't think, to be fair.
Man in the Mirror it reminds me of a time of wonder and
yeah.
The
I
sky's
used
the
to listen
limit.
to that on the way. The song. Yeah, sorry. I used to listen to that on the way to school, and I remember. Yeah, I have the vision of it in my head.
It's the last minute, man. It's
just beautiful. It makes you felt like magic. That's the word. MJ embodied that spirit of like magic, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. You really felt that escapism. You felt the inner child kind of come out, and I think that's why it's lived on so long, because it's the escapism. It brings you out of that. It makes you think there's more to life than just what we do, drudging in day in, day out. You know, that's why it really helped me when I was at work and I was really just unhappy with being there.
Yeah.
It made me remember there's more to life than just what I'm doing right now.
Absolutely.
You know, this human being existed and walked the planet and is doing this, which I'm watching on my phone while I'm on this like depressing train journey. And it's like this little light in there. This guy was here and he did that. He didn't settle for this and this and that. And, you know, regardless of how tragic his story was, regardless of how many illnesses he had, we can get into that when we do his deep dive, you know.
This is already feeling like a deep dive.
I know, yeah. But we'll try and wrap this up. We need to remember that these people, for what they gave us, the music helps them live
on
forever still. Even the ones who've recently passed away as well, you know. There's been quite a few in the hip hop world, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness! Like, what a way to see out flipping 2020. Like when MF's people. What do you mean he's been gone since October?
We had no idea. Crazy. Absolutely.
There
crazy.
I was just like, oh man, I can't believe it. Like, I've been sleeping on MF Doom for years. And I was listening to all of his albums like last year and the year before. Like, oh, I've known about MF Doom. Like, yeah, he's really, really cool. Like, I can't wait for him to drop some new music. And then all of a sudden, it's like he's gone. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh fuck, man! Like, one of the most lyrically, thematically, syllabically dense rappers I have ever had the pleasure of listening to. Like, what a guy!
Mate.
Thank goodness for guys like him. Oh, his mind was off key, and I love the fact that he had the Doctor Doom mask, man. Like,
amazing,
brilliant.
Yeah,
because
amazing.
I don't know anybody that reps Doctor Doom. Like,
right.
Like, it's always like, I don't know, Captain America, or flipping Iron Man or Thor or someone like that. You know, like, there aren't really. Are there any notable Marvel villains? Like, I can't really think of any. Right? Like Thanos. There you go. But then he's got motherfucking Doom, man. Anyway.
Yeah.
And
we'll deep dive on Doom as well, because
we've got to. He's been going. I couldn't believe he was that old.
What was like 40?
40. I thought he was like 47.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Quite a long. Well, 47 is not a long life, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, it's still longish.
I thought he was. I thought he was a lot younger than that. But.
Oh right, no, he's definitely from a kind of older school, I guess, like early 2000s. But actually, he started in the late 90s when he was very young with his brother. But again,
early 2000s, like that was, it was back in my day.
that was 20 years ago, bro.
That was when I was coming up, bro. Like, yeah.
Shit.
I don't. To be honest, though, this camera's really nice because it doesn't make me look that old, so it's all right.
It's all working out in your favor, isn't it?
It's all working out in my favor, like the hat, the beard. Like I'm looking all right. When people see me on like live streams, though, in the future, they'll be like, "Shit, that guy looks old."
Yeah, you're here thinking, "Yeah, man, I look so young."
Yeah, I look all right, man. Beard lines are looking a bit Chris out here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Anyways,
time to wrap this bad boy up.
Time to actually wrap this up. I don't know why this has been such a tangent-filled episode. And it's consistent tangents as well.
They've been good tangents, though. I mean, maybe you can. I don't know.
No, I don't think I'm cutting anything. I'm just keeping it all.
Really? Mm-hmm. Do you know what? Then fine. We are. If you haven't guessed it by now, we are a long-form podcast. This episode, yeah, man. This episode has been like really, really fun and great. And hopefully, you guys. Enjoyed the ride with us, if you're still here, like, as I say, blessings to you. Thank you so much.
Double blessings to you for this episode in particular.
Absolutely. We've been going on about tings, man. Anyway. Anyway, thank you so much. We've been the KaeDee Exchange, and we will see you guys on Thursday.
On Thursday, yep. We are dropping on Thursday.
FO. Peace.
Peace.